Welcome to Impact OC, the only program showcasing the people and organizations shaping Orange County. With your host, Don Camber.
Hello, live from the OC Talk radio studios at UCI's Beal Applied Innovation Center. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Don Camber with another great guest impacting our community in a positive way. Today, I welcome Antis Roofing founder and CEO Charles Antis. He's a member of many nonprofit organizations. Today, he'll talk about the Orange County RONALD McDONALD House, for which he's a board member. The Orange County RONALD McDONALD House is a program of RONALD McDONALD House Charities of Southern California. The mission is to provide comfort, care, and support to children and families in Southern California. Thank you, Charles, for being on Impact OC.
Hi, Don, and I'm super excited to be here. Thank you.
Well, please share with us your desire to get involved with the organization after your wife, Dawn, delivered premature twins, Charlie and Gracie, nearly 7 years ago.
Okay, well, I'll tell that story. You know, being a twin, you know how much we love our children, but when this started, it started because I fell in love and got married again at 50, and next thing you know, we're pregnant, really healthy. My wife, Dawn, was really healthy with twins. I mean, we went just to the baby moon. We went to the baby moon in the desert. We came back, and then she didn't feel well. And so she had preeclampsia, and the doctor said she needs to deliver the babies right away. And so we went in the hospital the next day, and it was a really rushed memory, and my life flipped upside down, and as did hers, because the babies came out not the way we intended, and when they came out, they weren't breathing, because you know how and even they were 6 weeks premature, but it felt like I didn't know if they were going to make it. And so we suddenly went to visit them in the NICU every day. And that's where I was introduced to RONALD McDONALD House, because we would go to Chalk NICU in Mission Hospital every day, because those Chalk nurses, they were so good at telling us, hey, if you come in here every day, twice each day, take off your shirt and lay your naked twins on your naked chest, they'll heal. You know, and it was like, and that was the only thing we heard. We just did that every day. I didn't go to work for a couple of weeks. We just did that. And RONALD McDONALD House would be there every day when we walk in a Chalk NICU, and they had these beds there. Hey, come spend the night. Or hey, have some coffee or work on these computers. They were trying to tell us that we're here for you so you can be close to your twins, but I couldn't hear that because I didn't want to associate with them. And this is, you know, me being honest today. I didn't want to associate with the families of sick kids. I just wanted to go help my kids and move on. And it was that kind of stubbornness that I went there one day, but I got there late, and I was going to have Charlie on my naked chest. And this is a very important thing. I wouldn't miss it for anything, but I couldn't do it, I felt, as I showed up late, because I had acid indigestion. I had some chronic heartburn that was so bad that I didn't think I could lay down. But when I went in, there was not one of those attendants. There wasn't a RONALD McDONALD House station attendant there. And I looked down and I saw a little Nature Valley granola bar, the green one that came out when we were kids, you know, and I knew that could solve that. And I remembered taking that bar, not intending to ever pay them back. You know, I just didn't want to be noticed, but I thought that might help. But all I remember that day today is I just had this memory about, you know, maybe an hour later, and I'm laying on that chair in the NICU, and with all those incubators around, and Charlie with those tubes, he's laying on my chest and he's sleeping, and I was comfortable. You know, that was a powerful memory. So, you know, today, thank you to twins. They're almost 7, Charlie and Gracie. They're 100% healthy. As you know, you see my wife on social media, Dawn. My wife has your name. She is an incredible mom, and they're positive little joys in my life. But I didn't know it was going to be that way. But so that's how I got connected to RONALD McDONALD House. But then what happened is Susan Canny heard me speak. A couple years later, she came and asked if I'd come tour the house. I saw the house. I saw that, oh my God, it keeps the families close right here next to Chalk and Orange. And then I thought, well, how's your roof? What if we could keep them safe, dry, and close? And that's how that started. And we donated the roofing. And then, as you know, I started wearing the socks then. I've been wearing socks now for 4 years. I have about 40 pair of these bad boys. I wear them every day because the first campaign, not the one we're going to talk about in a little bit, the first campaign was to get the roofing industry across the country, get 200 roofing pros to adopt all of the roofs on all of the Ronald McDonald houses, which was done 2 years ago. So we have a massive group of roofing pros all across the country, coast to coast, that stand up to keep families safe and close right now, even during COVID, and that's been really cool.
Well, describe the accommodations at the Ronald McDonald House.
Well, I think the way that to imagine it is if you could build a home, it wouldn't be a hotel. It would have things in it. It would have like rooms where you could really play, or sensory rooms if your kids needed that, if the rest of the family or the child visiting Ronald or visiting Chalk needs that. There would be maybe a place to pray or worship for some, or a garden, or a sanctuary for one to relax in. And there would also be a lot of donors who come around, like Synergence, who comes around and puts makeup on the family, the girls and the moms, offers things like that. There's a lot of other donors that come and do things for the house, and to create that sense of oneness that needs to occur when your family is healing. So the house is, the stories are beautiful. There's the way it helped us, which is simple, and there's the way it helps families with children with leukemia, and what it can do. These families come to our board meetings and they tell their stories, and they're beautiful stories. And this family of families around the world, these Ronald McDonald House families, we're close, and we walk away with more courage and more strength than when we first came to the house. So it's a beautiful organization, and it's a really amazing model, because the accommodations right now, we have 20, but I need to pump the campaign. I'm rocking the socks now for the capital campaign, because we've raised 10 million, but we need to raise 12 million to double the house. We have 20 rooms. We need 45 rooms. And so thank you to all of the generous donors out there. Katie Rucker and I thank you. She's the co-chair with me on the capital campaign. But we're not done. We need a name donor. Who's going to name the house? We could take that right now. We're going to have some donors, some in-kind donors, so maybe about a $1.5 million check, and we will let you name the house. So this is an amazing time for us to be able to give this to the families. It means so much more, I think, today, looking at it from the perspective of how a house provides that barrier. You know, the house also has a very intricate plan that allows families to stay safe. And so there's times during COVID it was completely shut down, taking in new families temporarily. Instead, we would put them up at hotels and do what we could. And now is when the COVID rates go down, we're able to do more. But this is the same plan that exists across the country. And what it's doing is it's allowing us to keep families safe and close from coast to coast.
Talk about the campaign a little more. How are you raising the money?
Well, I'd love to talk about the campaign. I ate lunch today at McDonald's, and one of the reasons I ate lunch at McDonald's, besides the fact that I love the filet of fish sandwich, is a double patty filet of fish. Actually, they do that for you if you ask. Is that I think 99%, and I bet you there's just a miscommunication, 99% of all of the shop owners donated generously in that $10 million we've already raised. In fact, I'll tell you this. The Ronald McDonald House restaurant owners have donated almost $4 million of the $10 million that we've raised. So that says a lot. So we also have some very generous donations from some of their partners, like Ventura Foods. I mentioned Synergence, who does a lot of social interaction with the women at the house. They've also donated generously. Chalk Hospital, the hospital, not the foundation, Chalk Hospital, one of our most important partners, has donated generously to this campaign. So we've had a lot of generous donors. Right now, there's an opportunity where you can, get a pair of socks like this. We will sell you a pair of socks for $500, and then you can wear the socks with us and tell us why you rock the socks, why you might tell your story of a family like ours, or you might tell the story how you understand it's important, so you want to keep the families close today. So you can join us that way. We also have the Ronald McDonald House Walk coming up. We're not doing the walk at Angel Stadium like we usually do. This time we'll be doing the walk virtually. I can't explain that very well, but you can follow us and we'll figure it out. In other words, we're not going to be doing the typical walk, but we're still funding for it because these families still need to be kept close.
And there's a big need to have a bigger place, because there are a lot of families that will need this comfort care in the future.
Well, Chalk is also expanding its services. It reaches so many more kids today, and we need to be able to house the families. And I think that's why they are so generous with their story and with their money in order to bring us in.
So do you need to raise the full 12 million in order to start the building, or where are we in the plans?
Well, the plans, there's a lot of process through the city that I'm not going to go into how the back and forth, but I say the neighbors, the city, everything's coming along. We will be hopefully breaking ground this year. There are some things that could set that back, so I'm not going to stage a date when that might be. But yeah, things are looking really good. We're really moving toward it. I think the first step is to fund it, and we're almost there. I think we're just a phone call away from that donor. One of the things that happened since we started talking about this is we had a very generous donor show up, and I would tell you who it is, but I can't because he's anonymous, or he or she is anonymous. In fact, I would bet it's he and she if I had to guess. But these donors donated $500,000, and they actually created more because they asked if we would do a dollar match, which we did. So I'm expecting that we're going to have another really generous company and or family that's going to help us complete the house so we can keep our families close to their kids today so the families can heal.
And talk about some of the stories involved with the Ronald McDonald House, the people who've been helped besides you.
Well, I don't. It's hard for me to tell the stories and not get too emotional. There's a lot of stories like mine where families were not always at infancy. Katie Rucker, who has the Capital Camp, who co-chairs with me. I mean, there was a time where her and her family were so worried about their daughter by not understanding what's happening with the health crisis when she was a toddler. And the house allowed her a quiet room next to where her daughter was so she could be close, be right there, and yet find that comfort. In a hospital, you can't always find that. And we have the same thing, but I think that I can't talk about all of our good stories without remembering some of the beautiful people that we've lost. And I think there's a somber moment that occurs every year, if not more than once, where we're in a board meeting and we have a moment where we remind ourselves of the story of a family who many times has been with the house for multiple years with reoccurring bouts of cancer that eventually take the life of somebody that we become really close to. And as challenging as that is, there is something beautiful, and we meet them at these interactions. We can't do those right now, but you can bring meals of love, and you can have a moment with the family. You're not going to be close to them, but you can still come to the house and bring meals. And there's going to be a lot that we're going to do. The walk this year, you can participate. You can that while you drive your company. And what if you could actually have a happier and more healthy company and actually have a healthier bottom line? And I'm here to tell you can. So that's the other side of this. For the nonprofit to thrive, we need healthy corporate partners, and I'm always promoting that. And one of the things, I'm sorry I'm plugging a lot of things right now, but I'm also on the United Way board, and I'm walking with Sue Parks later, and I was on a walk with Sue Parks a year ago, right before I joined the board, and she said, what's your dream? And I said, I would love to create a Vistage type class for CEOs, because CEOs could donate $1 million in a quarter and then lose their job if the company loses money. They need a place to bake this. If we're going to be generous with the community, we need a place where what's shared here stays here. And we started working. I didn't know she was going to give me a job, but we started a weekly meeting with Livy Kazerbaum of United Way, and we brought in B. Bacalandro and Chris Tickner, and we built the first ever imperative for corporate social responsibility for CEOs. And it started last week. It started 2 weeks ago. Our second class is tomorrow. We have 12 CEOs from companies ranging from 20 million to 6 billion in annual sales. And we're doing that. We're just talking about comparing notes on how we do this, how we actually stop stockpiling money and actually start investing in the community in real time. and stop saying, well, when I retire. What if you could do it today? What if you, instead of putting that money in land last year, what if you took that $700,000 last year and you put it into a charity instead? Why is that a good investment? Well, follow us and you'll see that it is.
I know the whole point of the charity is so that families don't have to think about to live. They could just focus on their child. Is that how it was for you?
For you mean when with yes. So yeah, when this happened, when I was in that moment in the hospital, I was so proud and so closed-minded and so naive. There was so many layers that the nonprofit had to break to be heard. But yeah, I needed to listen. But I was stubborn, I was proud, and yet they were patient and they knew what I wanted. They left it there and they were able to crack that. But I think that's a I don't know. I think you need to ask that question again.
All I'm just saying is I understand with the Ronald McDonald House, the whole point is so that families focus on their child, not living. They take care of the living aspect. They provide the food. They provide the accommodations. So you could focus on the most important thing. In your case,
keep in mind that most of our people that end up using the house, like I didn't need the house to spend the night because my home was within half an hour, but so many people are flown in because their children have conditions that only CHOC can treat. And when the child is here in treatment, the family has sometimes no place, even a hotel a mile away, it doesn't keep them close, but the house is always across the street or across the hall.
So the point is they could be close to their child and just devote their time to that. And it just resonates with you. Does your children know what you went through? Have you told them that?
They end up seeing it a lot because I tell the story a lot, and I don't share it with them every time, but there's parts of it they really appreciate. They've walked in the walks, and Charlie's favorite shirt, his is Ronald McDonald House shirt that looks like a superhero shirt that somebody's ripping it off of with red Superman colors, and he loves that, and he wears these Ronald McDonald socks that he has. He wears them like I do, and so yeah, they really appreciate the past. They really appreciate those. I don't have those pictures of them when they were 3 pounds around, but now and then we see them on things like this, and they appreciate the fact that they were survivors, and they weren't like really they weren't in super critical condition, but as parents in the moment, it was to me. And thank goodness for the CHOC nurses, and thank goodness for Ronald McDonald House because they kept us whole.
Charles, how do you want to be perceived?
I think I think of this little things the way my dad raised me. I just want to be perceived as a good man, and I want to be perceived as somebody that left everything better, everything that he touched better.
Thank you, Antis Roofing founder and CEO Charles Antis, for being on Impact OC. And I thank everyone for tuning in. I'm OC Talk Radio Public Affairs Director Dawn Camber. Have an impactful day.